Hello, friends, and welcome to Eye on the Storm. We are so excited for this week's episode. I'm Anna Prosser. This is Gillyweed.
Hi.
Hi. This is
Yes.
actually a pre-recorded segment, so we are not bringing this to you live, although we probably are going to be around in the chat. Say hi to us now. But the reason we had to do that is that we have some really special guests who we're about to introduce to you, but we are bringing their voices and faces, just one of their faces, to you all the way from China. So as you can see, there are some technological challenges that come with that, so we hope you will excuse us, but at least we've made sure that you will be able to hear the dulcet tones of their voices coming to you all the way across the world.
What is that? When there's construction sites, it says like "Pardon our dust."
Yeah.
Pardon our pixels.
Yeah.
We're having
That's
some
really
issues.
We should have had a
we're
little
really
sign.
Yeah, we should have. We're really excited to bring our guests to you and introduce them to you in just a second. But first, if you don't know what this is Eye on the Storm. This is our weekly podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. We bring on guest experts most weeks to talk about what's happening in the community, what's happening in the game, and we'll be talking about both of those things as we have a patch. But also, we're going to be talking about things that were happening, mainly BlizzCon, and then Gold League 2 a little bit. So then we also usually have a Q&A without. We won't really be able to do that this time since Anna said it is pre-recorded. So you can still send us questions and we'll do our best to relay them to the players if we can do that. Mm-hmm. And then we always finish out with a play or casting session. This time it'll be a fun play session with Anna that will be live after this concludes.
Mm-hmm. And that play session, FYI, will be mimicking the semifinal match in which Cloud9 picked Murky, as well as some other interesting heroes. So we're going to try and see if it was just Cloud9 magic or if we can use that comp as well in the play session. And just a little FYI, we are, of course, on Misscliks. If you aren't familiar with Misscliks, please do check them out, especially on Twitter at Misscliks. It's a really great, positive community for uplifting geeks and gamers, and especially providing support and exposure for women role models in geek and gaming culture. So we hope you'll hang out with us a lot and come back for this show time and time again. But now it's time to get into this show, and we've waited long enough to introduce you to our guests. They are the world champions of Heroes of the Storm, reigning as of mid this month. Yay! From Cloud9, we have DunkTrain and K1 Pro. What's up, you guys?
Hey, thanks for having us again, Gilly and Anna. It's great to be back.
K1,
really
you still with
excited
us
to have
over
you guys.
there?
Yeah, I'm over here. I'm lying in my bed.
The hard life.
Mm-hmm.
No, just kidding. You guys have been working your butts off. As we said before, you are world champions. You won BlizzCon, the first ever Heroes of the Storm World Championship, as last year was more of a kind of a show tournament, I guess. But we wanted to start off with talking about the World Championship, some of the high points and low points overall. So let's start off with just like the experience. How does it feel now to look back and know? Because, you know, Anna asked you in the moment, how does it feel to be world champions? But like looking back at it now, how do you guys feel about it?
It's still, I think, not quite like hasn't quite sunk in yet. I think still for us because we went to China immediately after Anaheim and we didn't really get a chance to like take a break and breathe in and realize like, oh yeah, we did it, right? Like, but that's the biggest thing. It just feels like, hey, we did it. We did what we set out to do. So it's like just satisfaction of a job well done, I guess, but to the umpteenth power.
It was really strange. I just rewatched the VOD of your winning moment and saw how, and you've kind of mentioned this to me a couple times, that it like hasn't really sunk in yet. It's so hard to comprehend that you've achieved this goal that you've been working so hard for. And I saw you guys kind of stand up and look at each other like, what do we do now? Like we did it. What, you know, and I kind of was thinking about how when in traditional sports, for example, we have very defined seasons. We have very defined, like, this is the end of the season, you're done now, that kind of feeling. Whereas you guys, like you said, you won this really important, the most important world championship. And then you were like, okay, now the next tournament, what are we going to take there? You know, that kind of thing. So how do you think maybe esports in terms of those winning moments or the hype or the feelings that you might have differ from what we would see in traditional sports? What should we watch for as an audience from you guys?
Whoa. Big questions.
I feel like it doesn't differ that much. I mean,
Really?
just winning a championship in whatever you're competing in. It's the ultimate goal, and we achieved it.
Mm-hmm. So you felt like it was, did you feel like it sunk in right away, K1?
I don't know. I don't seem to get too emotional over stuff like this. I mean, the ultimate goal was just winning BlizzCon the whole time, and we did it. But I didn't get too crazy about it. Now that we did it, I just want to do it again, I guess. I'll win next year.
That was going to be my question is, now that you know that you have done it and you've reached the top, does that change the mindset for you guys at all? Is it like, oh, we've already done this, so whatever we do now is icing on the cake? Or is it just reaffirming like, okay, we've done it now, we're going to do it again, we want to keep being up there? Does it change your mindset at all as a team?
I don't think so. I think once you've won once, maybe it's different for some people, but I want to win more maybe now, because like if you do it once, it's a fluke. If you do it again, if you take it home twice, then you're legendary, right? So it's now, it was at first it was like, okay, I want to prove that I can do this, and now it's like, okay, I want to build a legacy. Like I want to be remembered, like, okay, we're the kings or whatever, like we whatever started it. That's what I want to be remembered for, is like, okay, for the first 2 years of Heroes of the Storm, 3 years of Heroes of the Storm, whatever, like those guys were the gods. Like I want to be that. I want to be that kind of like legacy. Like everyone looks back on that kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be nice. Just the undisputed champs.
Yeah, you guys are off to a pretty darn good start. I mean, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but we were looking at these world championships as trying to kind of define what regions are really going to stand out in Heroes of the Storm, what meta is really going to stand out. And I know you guys have made some comments on that. We can talk more about it later, but now that the dust has kind of settled, do you think that we're going to see a legacy of the Americas region being the most dominant one? Dunk's
I can
laughing.
see it happening again. I don't know. There's gonna be a lot more competition next year. It's hard to say. I know a lot of players are gonna be joining the scene. So
Yeah.
we'll just wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's too early to tell.
Well, the reason I
think
asked...
there's a good chance, though.
Yeah?
It still stays near the top. Yeah, this game feels a lot different than other games. Like, it feels like you can't just be the best just from pure grinding in this game, because there's a lot of thinking and coordination and teamwork and communication involved.
It does seem that way. The reason I asked is I think I was reading this interview that happened right after your game, and we saw, oh yeah, it was you, DunkTrain, who said, if anything, maybe not right now, but I think this tournament did show that North America was the toughest region in the world when both us and Tempo Storm were on point a few months ago. So maybe not necessarily in the future, but at least this year, the first world champion, you think we were the toughest region, huh?
I mean, I think so. I think if we won Worlds and we were losing at one point to them, so it's hard to say, but that's what BlizzCon showed us.
Yeah. Well, I'll take us off track because I'll want to talk about like how you felt at BlizzCon and all the feels and all that, but what we really want to talk about is the game. So let's talk about some of the high points, and of course what everyone's been talking about right now is the Murky pick. So tell us a little bit about the semifinals, the thinking that went into what you drafted there in the first match too, because we saw Rexar first in the first match, or in the first game before we even saw Murky. So kind of walk us through your thinking there.
K1, you want to get this one? You want me to?
You can get this one.
Okay. Well, going into that semifinals match, I would say we really felt like DK had some of the strongest team fighting in the tournament, other than us. So we didn't necessarily want to make the matches about that, whereas against other teams, we feel like that's definitely our strongest attribute against them. But looking at the Korean scene, it didn't seem like they experimented as much with weird stuff. So we figured they didn't have experience playing against a lot of the things that North American teams had worked on internally. And we've just felt that Rexar is a really strong hero, and we knew they would be fine going to Dragonshire. They wouldn't expect anything weird. So that was a really, really basically easy decision to make because we've played with that a lot in, scrims and stuff. But then going into the Cursed Hollow game, we pretty much knew that was kind of like our ace in the hole, I guess. Like just something we held in our back pocket the whole tournament. Like we've known about it for months, but we knew only the North American teams would have any clue what was going on. So it was really just like, all right, is this like, do we think this series is like the moment we need to bring this out? And the team just decided, yeah, we're on the BlizzCon stage and we need to go 100% no matter what, even if that means showing strategies here in the semis that won't work again in the finals if we show them. So we decided, all right, do everything we can. And yeah, I mean, Murky is just the king. What can you say?
Was it concerning to you then if that was your ace in the hole to win with it? Like, did you have other strategies at that point that you had hidden, or was it all out on the table and you were concerned about going up against Dignitas?
Well, I think everyone will agree we were really comfortable playing against Dignitas, so knowing that they were our finals opponents pretty much took a lot of stress off of us, I think, going into our semis round. So even though I wouldn't say we were 100% out of like strategies, but that was probably like the cheesiest, most guaranteed like win against a team who doesn't really know what's going on. So even though there are a lot of strategies we know in practice, I think we were comfortable showing that there because in the finals we felt really comfortable playing against Dignitas because we had played against them in the group stage and we practiced so much against them in scrims. We just felt really, really confident going into that grand finals match. I mean, I said it then, and it was just the team felt so good on the day of the event, like when we actually started playing against DK, that I just felt like we were firing on all cylinders and couldn't lose that day.
So do you think had Navi... Oh, sorry, go ahead, K1.
We scrimmed Dignitas a lot before the finals, and they pretty much played the exact same stuff they played in scrims, and we switched it up a little bit to counter them. So it went pretty smoothly.
I'd say so. 3-0.
Yeah,
Do you
and a very
think...
smooth 3-0 too. There was not very much. I mean, they were great games. They were really fun to watch, but there wasn't a doubt. Even backstage, like I have my notes. I grabbed them, all my backstage notes, and usually there's like a lot of writing by each match of me being like trying to decide who's gonna win and pick highlights and stuff. These matches were very sparse. It was just like Cloud9 wins, Cloud9 wins, Cloud9 wins. You know, it was just like very matter of fact, and I didn't even get to finish the last one because I was back up on stage so quickly.
You should have just written a giant G! The question I wanted to ask was, had Navi beaten Team Dignitas, do you think you guys would have played that match versus DK differently, or would you have gone in with the same mindset, this is our most important one?
I think we would have gone with the same mindset. DK was probably the team we were most afraid of the whole time. Navi and Dignitas, we felt like played really similarly. Like they ran the same comps pretty much. So we weren't as afraid of them as we were for DK.
When you say you were afraid of them, and you said that you used your very certain kind of cheese strategy against them, do you feel like if they had expected what you were going to play, then they may have beat you? Or do you feel like you still, even if you had come out with a draft that maybe they expected, that you still would have been able to take them?
If they knew we were going to take Murky, they probably could have beat, like, during draft, near the end of draft, I was saying, like, if they take Murky from us here, we lost. There's no way we could win. But, yeah.
I mean, I think if they knew what was going on in that game, we definitely would have lost it. But like, let's say we had to play a series and play 100% normal, like neither team pulls out really weird strategies or anything. We just have to play like a solid game. I think we would still consider ourselves favored, but probably by a smaller margin than we would consider ourselves favored against any other team, if that makes sense, in the tournament on a level ground.
That does make sense.
Feel the same way.
Yeah.
Another high point I had from the championship was actually an interview that Anna had with your parents, Dunk.
Oh,
Did you see that?
I saw that it was happening, but I didn't really catch the details.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No,
Oh,
I'm
I
not
wish-
gonna watch it. I'll never watch it.
I wish I had queued it up. They actually cut to your parents right after you guys won the whole thing. They cut right to your parents, and your parents were hugging. It was really cute. In fact, I'm playing it right now, so viewers
Oh,
get to
no.
see it. There it is. There's DunkTrain's
Sweet.
parents. They were so sweet.
But you should tell the interview. You tell the interview story.
Well, I mean, so I asked them, how are you feeling cheering on your son? The typical stuff like that. And, did you, and then I got to, did you ever think that this would be the career that you would be watching your son, the career path that you'd be watching him walk down? And your mom goes, God, no. And I was like,
You're so awesome.
And I was like, talk to them a little bit more about that. They were so sweet, so supportive, so awesome. It was really nice to talk to them. And then I was like, do you have any final words for your son? Like, if you could say anything to him right now before he goes on stage, is there anything you want to say? And your dad, said the typical, like, we're cheering you on. Don't give up. Keep going for it. We know you can do it. And then I, started to close the interview, but your mom wanted to say something, so I threw the mic to her, and she just goes, don't blow it.
Oh,
And Gilly
God.
and I loved that. We were yelling, don't blow it to you the
so
whole
good.
time.
Oh, God.
So please tell your parents that I thought they were just awesome. They gave me
Okay.
the best interview.
We
You
all
look
love
so,
that.
embarrassed that they were there.
No, definitely not. Not even a little bit, and I swear.
I think you should be proud that your parents are there, because it's very rare that we see parents at esports events, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is super rare. And I'm super lucky that that's the case. But it's like, because it's so rare, it's also weird for me.
Yeah.
Like, at least if my teammates or something, or like other people, like had their parents there, I'd be like, whatever. But like, my parents are the only ones there, and the camera keeps going to them and stuff. Like, it is pretty weird for me.
I can understand that. All right, so we talked about you guys, the winning moment, Murky, and your parents, which is a high point. We wanted to talk about
I
any
actually had one
potentially-
more, sorry,
Oh,
just
yeah,
one more
you-
little
you-
highlight.
Go ahead.
Because I'm reminded as we're watching, I'm showing YouTube videos of these moments as we go through, and I wanted to point out, and that has nothing to do with the game, but I thought it was so cool because one of the most hotly discussed things that we did backstage production wise was talk about the closing ceremony and how we were going to present you guys the trophy. And originally we had this plan that we were going to ask you to receive the trophy and then hold it high. We got this trophy and it weighs 60 pounds or something like that. It was so heavy. And everyone kept saying no team's going to be able to lift this. It's going to be super awkward. They can't lift it. Just make sure that they don't lift it. It's fine. Anna, just tell them to gather around it and stuff. But then they didn't have me come on stage, and so we had you guys actually come out and just lift it without being told. It was the coolest moment because you guys all grabbed it together and lifted it like it weighed nothing. And so I'm sure that the audience didn't realize it, but backstage we were all like, oh, they're such beasts! It's so cool!
Yeah, the stage manager guy actually came up to us before the games, and he's like, "Okay, guys, the trophy's really heavy. Don't lift it." And we're all just like, "Okay, yeah, sure, bud." Right? And then as soon as we get our headsets on, we're like, "All right, guys, as soon as we win, we're 100% lifting that up together, no matter what it weighs, right?" So yeah, they were worried too, right? So I'm really happy that it worked out, and we didn't drop it or fall off the stage or something.
You made it
trying
look
to lift
really
it,
light.
but-
Did it feel,
Yeah.
was it a challenge to lift it, or were you guys in sync enough that it was completely fine?
Thanks to the power of teamwork, it was fine.
Sorry, Gilly, to interrupt. I know you were
No.
bringing up the next thing on our...
That was good. I was moving on to
Yeah.
close calls or any place that maybe you guys were nervous that you would lose, because honestly the whole way through it looked very dominant for you guys, but we couldn't see into your minds. The one time I ever saw anyone nervous was when there was the big downtime. I talked to Calf and he was like, this really sucks. I just want to get out there and play. But other than that, it seemed very smooth sailing. So from the inside, was there any point where you guys had close calls or you were nervous that you were not going to make it there?
I don't think who won ever has these
It
moments,
felt-
but
Felt
I
like
would say-
everything went according to plan.
yeah, I have to say I agree with them on the day of BlizzCon. For me, it was definitely the opening week. Like, I was definitely nervous, sweating a bit. Opening week games, those ones felt way too tough because we weren't playing our best there, and like that's always a bad feeling when you know the team isn't playing at 110% like you want them to be. But once it got to the BlizzCon stage and I felt it, there was not one moment in any of those 5 games on the BlizzCon stage where I didn't think we had won the whole tournament already.
Wow, that's cool. How does
Yeah,
that feel when you get that? You said that you could feel it. Is it how do I want to put this? Some people say when they get on stage there's like a lot of pressure, it makes them nervous. Did that add to your focus instead, or was it just that you guys got into like a groove, or how did the stage make it different?
Definitely hyped us up.
Yeah.
We screamed more than we've ever screamed in any game. All 5 of us were just screaming at the top of our lungs every single game in the finals. Felt like.
Yeah.
I think we play pretty well under pressure as a team.
I think that's actually probably one of our biggest strengths is it seems like when we're against the ropes, like that's when we play well. And I know a lot of teams, or like in the history of pro gaming, esports especially, like teams or individual players and stuff like StarCraft and stuff, like there are some players who come out of the gates really strong or like are good in like low pressure situations like online tournaments. But for us, it's like the opposite. Everyone just shows up on big tournament LAN game day for some reason. And that's like really nice feeling to have like in the back of your head, and it like builds on itself too, because like if you have a history of doing that, then like the next time it's going to be even better probably, because you just like you show up, so then you'll show up harder. I don't know, it's just a really good feeling.
Totally.
That's probably nice as you start to play through Gold League too.
Yeah, definitely.
We're actually going to start, I think, to move and talk about that. But before we go, move on to that, are there any other thoughts as we move out of the first World Championship about it?
I was curious specifically because a lot of people are looking to you as the first World Champions and being like, okay, I saw you compete in the World Championship. How can I translate that into my play? Because I'm a Heroes player. I want to play really, really well. What's the one thing that people could take that's like, I play like Cloud9? What can they take from your performance at the World Championship?
I don't know. It's hard. There's just so many factors. There's nothing you can really point to, like one singular element, I feel like, that makes a team. Like the team's identity in terms of playstyle is just composed of so many things. Like the heroes they pick, the way they play, it's just, there's too much. I don't know. Unless K1 has something better.
I think you need to figure out your own play style pretty much, and just figure out how to play your own heroes instead of trying to copy the way heroes are played. Like, you don't just watch a pro game and copy the pro player's build because they did it. Like, you have to actually understand why they're doing it, and sometimes like different builds work better for different players depending on how they play the game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Like, I've never liked the whole just copy the top players in a game and that's how you get good. Every game I played, I'll invent my own play style and figure out what's best for me instead of just copying the pros.
That's great advice. And I think, a lot of what you're saying, DunkTrain, harkens to the fact that you can tell that Cloud9 works together so well as a team, and that's something we've talked about a lot on this show, is that Heroes is a game that really rewards you for playing as a team. So it sounds like you guys are kind of affirming that for our viewers as well.
Yeah, I think you can grow more if you play as a group of 5 than you ever can alone or duo queue in this game, and I think that's just part of how the game works. It's just so much based on teamwork. That's probably the biggest thing you can do if you want to grow as a player, is to find 5 friends who you can enjoy playing the game with and all enjoy learning together as well.
Great advice from the world champs.
Yes. And the champs representing us at the Gold League Season 2. Since you're the first foreign team to be invited directly to the tournament phase. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super exciting to get the opportunity to go here in Shanghai, China, like right after BlizzCon too. It's just a really, really cool opportunity.
Yeah,
When you
tell us
say-
about your living situation right now.
Yeah.
Like, where are you? What are you doing? How long are you going to be there? What's going on?
So we flew to China, I think about a week and a day ago, if I'm not mistaken, literally 2 days after BlizzCon. So BlizzCon tournament ended Saturday night. We went home for one day and then flew to China Monday morning, right? 14-hour flight, which if you've never had one of those is quite an experience, except for K1, who miraculously, we
Like
get
an
on the
hour.
plane, find our seats, right? K1's at a window seat. I swear to you, within 30 seconds of the plane taking off, K1 is dead asleep, doesn't wake up until the meal that's served like 30 minutes before we land. That's it. He didn't wake up the whole time.
Oh my god.
So
That's
it
amazing.
was, yeah, it was superhuman, basically.
always
So
like
for
that.
him, yeah,
You do
and
that
no,
on
for him
every
the flight
flight?
was free.
Yeah, I've gone to Asia multiple times and I just sleep the entire flight.
I'm so jealous.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And you guys are
But
going to be
that's-
living there for quite some time.
yeah, we're here for a month, I think. Maybe a little longer, maybe 6 weeks ish. I'm not exactly sure on the timings because it's been hard to lock down stuff, but pretty sure we're here for at least 4 weeks. And then if we make it to playoff, it's like an extra 2 weeks or something. It comes right up near Christmas, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
What's been the biggest adjustment for you in living in China so far?
Probably for me, living. I don't know, actually. In some ways it's like really similar to America. Just maybe that's because we're in a part of the city that's like easy for us to navigate and stuff. And we're kind of used to living out of hotels because we've done quite a bit of traveling recently for the BlizzCon stuff and that sort of thing. So hotels aren't weird. Probably the biggest adjustment for me personally is that nobody has beards around here, and like the beard craze is like really huge in America right now. So everyone has them and they're like totally normal, but here literally 0 people I've seen have had them. So I said this on my Twitter, I mentioned it, but like little kids will like gawk at me like as I'm walking by, and they'll like tug on their parents' coats and like look at me, or they'll like play peekaboo right while we're in on the escalator or whatever. And like one particularly audacious little girl was staring at me the whole time I was like eating lunch next to me, and then like her dad was just like kind of ignoring her, so she just like came up and like tried to poke my beard. And like that was hilarious. So yeah, that's probably the craziest thing to me, is that I don't know what K1 feels.
Yeah, K1, what's been the most difficult thing for you?
Probably just not having my own room. That's it. I like my privacy, but it's alright. I like CAF, so.
Are you guys all in one living arrangement? Or are you in hotels, or how is that working?
We're in hotels. We have 4 rooms. So me and CAF are together, and Dunk and Dream are together. And then Fan and Tao have their own rooms
Nice.
because they're lucky.
How has the food been?
Oh, the McDonald's has been great. They
I knew you were
deliver
gonna say
24
that.
hours a day.
Does it have at least some different menu items, I would guess?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
We had some Chinese food too. I got a little sick after eating a bunch of lamb, but
Is that why you're eating mostly McDonald's, or?
maybe every other day we have McDonald's. But I had some awesome duck at some high class Chinese restaurant.
And what
Nice.
about the training? I mean, that's always difficult on the run, but in China, being in a totally different country, do you guys have practice facilities, and how are you keeping your skills up?
Yeah, we have a net cafe that we can practice at every day, pretty much. But my only complaint is the armrests are too low in the practice area and on stage. Like, I hate playing on weird setups. Like, it makes my micro so much worse. I hate it.
I totally understand that, and I'm not even a pro gamer. I'm so finicky about my setup, but as pro gamers, tell us a little bit about how that affects you when you play. You need things to be like to the millimeter, right?
Yeah, it really reduces my confidence in my play when I can't control my character at 100%. Because my arms are just at a different level. It's kind of uncomfortable.
You
But
know,
hopefully I'll get used to it.
when I was at MLG Dallas, I got to see Flash set up his booth, and he has a ruler that he takes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like measures out the distance from things to other things. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's intense.
I took pictures of it, so I was like, "This is nuts! It's so cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. I just need a higher chair.
Yeah, I don't think we're to the ruler stage yet, at least for our team that I know
Soon, Tian.
of. But definitely things like not having enough width room on the table. Like, I don't know, some people like to stretch out. Like at my home area, I have a really big desk, so like I usually play like pretty leaned back and like laid out arms like across, and like in the area there, it's like huddled up shoulders like almost sometimes. So it varies from place to place, and it takes some getting used to, definitely.
Do you think that's something that maybe you could train out of, like purposefully making yourself play at other conditions? Like
Probably. I mean, yeah, that's probably something you could do. But then again, you can't like practice you can't just go to like the stage or whatever and practice. Like that's not an
Right.
option, right? Because there's other teams doing other things there and stuff. So it's not like you can go to the GHL stage and practice there to try and get a feel for it or something. So
Right.
even then, maybe reducing your dependence on one setup might work, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Well, and you guys have actually already started playing, and you're off to a pretty good start. Tell us so far what you've been doing.
So the GHL just started this season 2 days
GPL,
ago.
right?
The what?
GPL?
Is it GPL or GHL?
Or, I don't know.
Dream says GHL. Dream says GHL. So I'm gonna go with iDream's
I thought you
response.
said GSL.
Wikipedia
Okay,
also
No,
says
no, no.
GHL, yeah.
Okay, no, it's not the GSL. I didn't. Anyway, so it just started 2 days ago when we're recording this. I don't know when it's going to get aired, so basically less than a week for sure. And we played on the second game day of the 4 in the first week for our first match. We were the last match of the day. We played against SPT, Super Perfect Team. We had a rocky start getting adjusted to like the setups and the booths and the headphones and all that sort of stuff. And we ended up losing game 1, but we came back to a strong finish and closed out the match with a 2-1. So we're 1-0 in matches right now in our league, and our next match is tomorrow for us, but it's basically Thursday, sometime between like 6 and 10 p.m. Shanghai time. I'm not sure you guys can attempt to translate that, but that is basically what it is.
Time zones are a
So,
black
yeah.
hole in my brain. I can't
Yeah,
help you.
I think it'd be very early morning. I have a question for you about playing versus SPT. What was going through you guys' minds when you saw Leoric and then Murky come out in game 2 against you?
I thought we were getting BM'd.
I thought you were too.
We just stomped the world champs. Let's beat them with Murky now.
Yeah.
But
That-
I don't know. That comp was really weird. It like half synergized together, but not fully.
Their comp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were able
Yeah,
to
our first
take it down?
response. Yeah, our first response was definitely the BM thing.
Okay. I saw it and I was like, whoa, Leo and then Murky right over, or together at the end. Okay, wow, but
Well, you know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, really. So, do you guys know who you play next?
Braveheart, I think.
I think so, yeah, Braveheart. And fun, we get to do it on patch day. So that'll be a blasty blast.
Not just a blast, but a blasty blast.
Mm-hmm.
Is Cho'Gall allowed? Is there like a ban period?
So the ban period for Cho'Gall is 1 week, but since we're playing on what will be the live servers, there's nothing they can do about the whole scaling changes. So basically, all the scaling changes are getting thrown into the game, and then we have a game on patch day, and we have like no experience whatsoever with the scaling change stuff.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting.
What are you guys doing to try to prepare for that? Just theory crafting as much as possible, basically?
Crossing our fingers, sacrificing small children to the gods in hopes that it turns out favorably for us. No, but
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna play some on the PTR today, right?
yeah, we're gonna try to get some scrims in on the PTR,
Cool.
but who knows? Oh, I'm getting told by my manager that PTR doesn't exist in China, so that's not an option.
Back to crossing our fingers.
And sacrificing small children.
All right, back to the black voodoo.
Oh my
Well,
god.
maybe at least you can hope that you and your opponents will both be suffering, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone's going to be running around with their heads cut off tomorrow in the games. Like, everyone's going to be picking random stuff, just no idea what works and what doesn't. Hopefully we're like the last game of the day. That'd be nice, so we can at least see what the teams earlier in the day win with, and then just copy them.
Yeah, totally.
The meta. You mentioned Braveheart. You actually have Weil and Braveheart. Both teams, of course, were representing China at BlizzCon, although it was some of Braveheart. But yeah, both of them are in your group. But is there anyone you are nervous or maybe excited about playing against, either in your group or the other one? Because the other group has eStar as well, who wasn't able to attend BlizzCon even though they were #1 in China.
K1?
I'm not too afraid of eStar. I think YL is gonna be our biggest competition.
Okay.
They're probably the team I'm most afraid of. Their execution is pretty good for just instantly blowing someone up.
Yeah,
What-
I agree.
Well, good luck tomorrow with your
Represent us
game.
well.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
All right, before we move on to talking about the patch, we did want to mention that, of course, the 2016 Global Championship Circuit was announced at BlizzCon, and I know that you guys, were you able to hear that announcement? Because I guess you were backstage during that, but I don't know how much you were able to hear.
Yeah, everyone pretty much gathered around in the player lounge area.
I think I was
Ev-
sleeping.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure K1
So
was
I-
sleeping.
Yeah.
You have a talent,
Everyone-
sir.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, I really like to sleep. I can do it anywhere, at any time.
Apparently.
It's practically a superpower. I mean, it's on the verge.
it is.
Yeah, I think everyone else did gather up though around the TVs in the player lounge, and
Okay.
that's including like a lot of the people who are interested in heroes, like a lot of the casters too that weren't actively doing stuff right then. Like everyone was, pretty much there as a community on the edge of their seats, waiting for what Kim Fan had to say. So it was actually a really fun way to get to experience that announcement too, is with so many other people who cared about heroes.
Well, of course, she announced that we're going to have 3 global championships next year. The first one's going to be in spring. The prize pools are going to be massive. There's going to be the regional qualifiers and things. What were some of you guys' first impressions? What do you think of this new structure?
Hallelujah might be an appropriate
Yay!
That's a good
sentiment.
response.
It's pretty much everything we were hoping for when it comes
Yeah.
to setting up the next year of esports for us. I mean, everyone is wondering like where was Heroes going to go right after BlizzCon. Everyone was wondering that. What's Blizzard going to do? Who's going to pick it up? What's going on? So it was just really amazing to get the opportunity to do that and like hear that. So everyone's super excited.
I was really excited to hear how excited Blizzard is to partner with third-party events and organizations that are already out there, because Heroes has been so grassroots conducive. So many of us have been here since the alpha wanting to build things, and I know a lot of tournament organizations have as well. So hearing that they may have the opportunity to become part of the larger structure, that was a really exciting part for me.
Yeah, that was what I was most excited about too. K1, what did you think about the announcements? I'm assuming you found out about them after you finished your nap.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything we wanted.
Good.
Everyone in the scene, I'm sure, is just really excited about it.
That's really awesome to hear. I'm very happy that players are happy about it. Because that's most important, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys already planning to win them all?
Yep.
Good.
Every single one.
Perfect. Well, we spoke a little bit about the patch, and I mean, you guys are at a tournament, so we don't want to take tons of your time, but we did want to just briefly touch on some of the most prominent things in the patch. Viewers of our show, don't worry, we will go back and talk in more detail about the patch, but we wanted to get kind of Cloud9's thoughts on the patch and some of our big standout things. So, Gilly, what should we start with?
All right, so I'm just going to start running through, but if at any point you guys want to jump in, just yell at me to stop and then let me know. But we do have a new patch, and Cho'Gall was released with it. Cho'Gall is a hero that is actually 2 heroes because it takes 2 players to play them. And one controls the movement and has abilities. The other has a lot of more of the abilities too. There's also a new map called Towers of Doom. That is still on PTR, but it is coming soon. But you can still play it on the PTR until like November 24th or something like that. If you have a PTR, unlike our friends here. Love you.
Yeah.
DunkTrain mentioned the scaling changes and changes to respawn timers. I would definitely recommend going and reading this specifically on the patch notes in detail. But overall, the goal was to make early game takedowns give less pure power than before, but still offer teams a power play moment when they do get those early kills. And then taken directly from the patch notes, it says, these meaningful strategic advantages will position a team closer to victory without giving them a large stat advantage and the ability to bully the opposing enemy team. And then, Anna, I noticed you wrote here that Grubby has a cool post about this.
Yeah, actually, I'll show you right now. Grubby wrote a really cool just post about understanding it kind of in layman's terms and what he thinks it means for us. I thought it was really informative, so do check that out. It's on followgrubby.com under his news section.
Yeah, I saw that post too. I thought it was really well written. It's
Me
good,
too.
definitely a good read, I think, for someone who wants to get a grasp on how the scaling changes are going to affect the game. It's going to be a lot to absorb, for sure, because the whole game is going to be different, basically. Well, the early game, at least. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about the effect that's going to have on how people approach the early game and like how much aggression people use, how much risk they're willing to take. What I'm really curious specifically your guys' thoughts on how that's going to change the way you as a team approach the early game.
I think it's going to make us more likely to make more aggressive plays because so from what I'm hearing, we haven't had much time to experiment with it. From what I'm hearing is that you'll be more able to kill people overall is the rough idea I'm getting. Like the damage dealers are going to do enough more damage that it's easier to kill people than before. So I expect that we'll see more aggressive compositions with like Kerrigans or other ganking heroes because you can actually punish kills now by denying them experience since they miss a wave and they're gone for a while, or actually secure early objectives. Like everyone knows the joke about the first tribute fight on Cursed Hollow where it'll go on for 3 or 4 minutes because people just keep dying and running back and dying and running back. Like that kind of stuff won't happen anymore. So instead of it being about getting an experience lead in the early game, it'll be about what you can actually convert off of your kills. You'll actually have to, not only will you have to get the kill, but then you'll have to have the team coordination to actually convert that into a meaningful advantage to continue in the game rather than just get some extra stats to win the next fight harder type deal.
Cool.
A lot more pressure on shot callers on that too. Or just, like you said, being able to capitalize on those early kills. But yeah, that's generally what I took away from that. the
Early
notes
kills
do.
are just gonna mean a lot more, which is great because we love to kill people. We don't like fighting minions.
Yeah, they're boring.
This is actually on the same vein, kind of a minor change that doesn't really necessarily affect the win or not, but they're actually going to start counting kills from last hits, and everything else is going to be called an assist. So the way that everyone would get a kill together before is going to be changed, which again doesn't really affect the game, but for me was a very significant change because I really liked that we all just shared everything together.
We're friends.
Yeah. So do you guys have any, like, do you care about that at all?
I don't think so. It's still the same
I
game.
figured you wouldn't.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect.
Maybe for solo queue people would care, but
Yeah.
in competitive, I mean, we're just a team and we're trying to win. You either win or lose.
Yeah, I feel like in solo queue, it's people are gonna now be freaking out about kill steals, even though it doesn't mean the same thing because it's not like it doesn't provide more experience to get the kills, like in other games or gold for that matter. Like because there's no gold, so I don't really know why that change was made.
Me
But I'm
neither.
also nervous about it as a sometimes solo queuer, though I do it as rarely as I have to.
That's why I brought it up, because I think for our casual viewers and for people like us, Gilly, it's like, why? And then for the pro gamers, it's like, we don't care. It doesn't change anything at all that's relevant to us whatsoever. You know? But
Yeah,
anyway.
basically.
But going on with the patch, we just talked about scaling changes. Anything else that you think is notable for people to start thinking about K1 or DunkTrain on the scaling changes? Covered it?
I'm not even sure exactly. I haven't looked into it that much yet.
Are you?
Yeah, I
Learn
think
it on the fly.
Yeah. Do you guys play a little
I
bit
usually
more by
don't
feel?
bother. I usually just wait till the patch hits and then I read everything. Like I don't even study beforehand. Just
Why is
wait
that?
for patch day. Probably because I'm lazy. But I don't think it changes that much. I'll get all the information before I play either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another
yeah.
notable
And
change.
the
Oh, sorry.
pre-notes. Yeah, and the pre-notes have a tendency to not necessarily be accurate, so
Right.
that's a downside of like trying to play on PTR or something. Is if things change from the way they were on PTR, then like you kind of wasted time and like memory learning that kind of stuff. So
Is it weird to have the patch come out earlier somewhere else? Because, you know, at NA, we're always in the forefront. It's out for us, but then it's not out for you guys. Is that strange?
That kind of sucks seeing everyone talking about Cho'Gall on Twitter. And
Yeah.
how fun it is.
He's fun.
Don't
Sorry.
get to try it yet.
Do you guys, just really quickly, do you guys feel like Cho'Gall is going to be an interesting competitive hero yet?
I have no idea. I think
Depends
everything,
on how
yeah,
strong
everything's so up in the air for him, right? Like we have no clue how he's gonna work in like actual competitive games.
Yeah, you're the ones that got to play him, right? Not us.
Yeah.
We don't know how strong he is yet. So.
He's strange. I mean, the idea that one person's positioning affects if you lose two heroes, and it's almost like an Abathur, right, where you have one less body on the field for things. It's kind of like maps where that's a detriment would also be a detriment with him.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to take a lot of getting used to. It'll probably be something we see like Vikings almost, but the reverse where certain teams will be Cho'Gall teams maybe, and certain teams won't. Like most teams won't play Vikings either because they don't have a Vikings player or like they don't know how to use it effectively. And then there might be teams that are Cho'Gall teams where like they will pick Cho'Gall because they're really comfortable playing around his weaknesses, right? Just like you have to be with Vikings. So it'll hopefully, I think the best state for the game would be if Cho'Gall ends up like that, where it's like a pick that some teams utilize and some teams don't. That's obviously the dream case, right? So every team
Yeah.
can get their own style. It's going to depend on numbers and other things, whether that actually turns out to be the case, though. So we'll have to see. We just need time.
Well, we will move on to some of the other changes real fast. Haunted Mines is being removed from the map pool except in custom games to make way for Towers of Doom. They did just say for now, so it's not something that's necessarily permanent. Gathering Power has a pretty interesting change where it's now granting 2% ability power per kill up to a max of 30%, but of course all stacks are lost upon death, and they used the phrase high risk, high reward to talk about that. And then moving into heroes, finally, we have Falstad, who had a small talent rework geared towards supporting talent diversity. Jaina had her deep chill bonus movement slow applied by chill decreased by 5% because they said it was hard to play against. And
Yeah, that was needed.
yeah, I mean, she had such a good rate overall at BlizzCon and was very highly picked, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I like to see them nerfing that aspect of her because it's like the aspect that's just frustrating and not actually like high skill / playmaking. Like I'd rather see them nerf that than nerf her damage or something, right? So I think that's the healthier way to do it. So I'm really happy about that change.
And even to hear K1, who loves playing Jaina, or plays her a lot at least, say that it's also needed.
That's slow, broken. Way too- That's what they needed to nerf, not the chill on elemental or taking out sprint. Those are my playmaking abilities. I want those back.
Well, maybe they'll put them back down, although probably not. Zeratul had focused attack removed, and it's replaced by Master Warp Blade, which is a new talent. They said that he had a little too much burst damage as he was, and now will gain a more substantial damage boost if he's able to stick to his target for a few seconds. So that's going to be interesting to see how that will work in conjunction with the wormhole and the fact that that was reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. Probably we'll have to choose between getting out or staying in and getting that damage boost.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to change the Zeratul builds a lot. You'll probably see them diversify into either like trying to do sustained damage or trying to do the burst damage like before. You won't be able to get like the insane burst damage that you used to be able to for so free, like with the old build. I think it's healthy. It's just Zeratul's been a problem for so long for balance.
Yeah.
They just keep having to nerf him and he's still OP.
Do you think this will be enough?
Don't think so. But we'll see. You never know what's going to happen with the meta. If the meta shifts to be unfavorable for him, then it probably will be enough to be the nail in the coffin. It just depends how things turn out. And with the scaling changes, all the speculation is absolutely, who knows, maybe.
That's true. Karzim had his other traits buffed slightly, and when I say other, I mean his traits that aren't Transcendence, because that's basically the only one picked. Uther had Eternal Devotion duration decreased by 2 seconds. That's his ghost after he dies. And his Divine Shield cooldown increased from 70 to 90 seconds. So pretty big changes to him.
Yeah, those are huge nerfs.
How do you feel about
the Divine Shield? The Divine Shield. You know I love that Divine Shield.
Because you like Maelstrom.
They seem fine. I think it's okay, honestly. Like, I think those are okay nerfs to give him. I don't know if necessarily he was problematic, and I mean, I think he's a little problematic, but I don't know if those address it in the right way. But if you're strictly looking to tone him down a bit, then that seems like an okay way to do it.
It seems like maybe the issue for them is that he's picked so much, and I know that Dustin Browder said that he didn't like how teams had to play versus him, which is either don't focus him and let him heal, but don't give him those free heals that he gets when he dies, or focus him down but have to deal with those free heals, but at least you've killed him. And he said he didn't like that particular playstyle. But when looking at the tournament overall, and I don't know if, Anna, you have the updated stats, but I know after opening week he was 100% pick ban, but yet only had like a 30-something win rate. So it's interesting to me, the changes. I'm not sure that it will lower his pick rate if that's the issue, if they're wanting to see more diversification when it comes to supports.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it will actually change his pick ban rate. Like, I think even without the change, he just opens up different gameplay options that you don't have when you're playing against him or if he's on your team. Like, the game is just a totally different game. Dustin Brother's absolutely right. But it's odd to me that they think Uther is a problem in that respect when there's like other heroes that make the game sometimes I mix up drastically and dramatically, but there are other heroes that like they warp the game around them so completely that it's like unrecognizable, like Abathur or Vikings. And it's odd to me that they would like point to Uther as like a problem when Abathur or Vikings are just entirely game warping to the point of being super frustrating that they even exist. So I don't know. I think our perspective is a little different than that on that than maybe their perspective.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, they too have to balance, like, it must be so difficult to balance for pros and still have it make somewhat sense balance-wise for us plebs. I cannot even imagine.
Yeah, it's a tall order for sure.
Yeah. The final hero change is Leoric and had a change to his Drain Hope. The changes overall basically amounted to his damage and healing no longer gradually increase over the ability's duration, but instead does a consistent amount of damage and healing with each tick. So they had to make some changes, like to cooldown and such, to make sure that that was still balanced because of that.
Yeah, that seems fine. I think the way it worked before was unintuitive, which is something they've tried really hard to avoid. Like the damage and healing ramping up over the duration, it wasn't communicated effectively. You didn't really know that was happening unless you really knew the mechanics of the ability. So I think making changes like that they have a little bit of impact, but mostly they just make the game a lot more intuitive for everyone involved, and you understand what you need to do. I think that's healthy for the game, honestly. And you can always tweak the numbers a little bit, but it's little things like that that make the difference between, okay, this game makes sense when I play it. If I'm a new player getting into the game, okay, this game makes sense, or I have no clue what's going on. It's just small changes like that. So I like it.
Awesome. Well, that's all that we had to cover. Any final thoughts on the patch from either of you? Maybe things you're looking forward to or not so looking forward to?
I just can't wait for Lunara.
Oh, right.
We didn't talk about her, but can't wait for her to come out.
Did you play her? Did you get the chance to play her at BlizzCon?
You're not. But I think she's going to be my new favorite hero.
Yeah?
How come?
Very likely. Just her kit. She just looks really fun to play. She looks like my kind of hero.
Very bouncy.
Super mobile, super squishy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she has a vision tool. I love vision.
Yeah, with her wisp. I thought that was a really cool part of her kit as well. But you're right, she is super squish. I made the mistake of bouncing her right into the core at Towers of Doom, and she died very fast. Like, wee!
Nice.
Dead.
Nice. Yeah. I think new heroes are always the most exciting thing, right? Like Cho'Gall, Lunara, Great Maiden. It's like, give us our new toys. Come on. That's always exciting.
Tracer,
So
Anna.
So excited. I don't even know
Yeah.
what her kit's gonna look like, but I just have been wanting her in the game since I knew she existed. So
I think she'll be similar in that she's super squish, super mobile,
I think you're right.
high skill cap, fun.
Yeah, she'll probably be great.
Can't wait. But actually, before we get to play any of those heroes, when we go into our play session, which will be live here in just a moment, my duty is to play Murky in your guys' composition from the semifinals. So my question for you is, what do I need to keep in mind? How should I play Murky to save my team?
Your job is to be as annoying as possible to the enemy team, okay?
Okay.
That's your job. So just think, okay, if I do this and I die, will it be worth it for how annoying I was? If the answer is yes, you probably should just do it.
Okay. That metric totally makes sense to me. I can totally keep that in mind. The annoying quotient, I can keep that very high. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you guys so much. I know it's been difficult as far as like with time difference and stuff, trying to coordinate this, but we really do appreciate it having you guys on here with us. It's been a blast, and we are so proud of you guys, not only for, of course, being the world champions, but representing us over there in China at the Gold League. So good luck with that. Before we go, are there any shout outs you'd like to give, and where can people find you on social media?
Want to go first, K1?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at C9K1Pro. And Dunk can do the shoutouts.
I knew that was coming.
Such a nice teammate.
Yeah.
He likes to do them.
Yeah, they're my favorite thing. No, so I'm DunkTrain, obviously, and you guys can find me on twitch.tv/DunkTrain or on Twitter at DunkTrain. And I would like to thank you guys again for allowing us on. It's really great. It was fun to be on, and we're happy we could work out the time stuff for you guys. Of course, thanks to Cloud9 and all of our sponsors for giving us the opportunity to do stuff like this and come to China and, support us doing that. So it's really great.
Thank you guys so much for being here. And viewers, I really want to encourage you guys to reach out to these guys on Twitter, send them good luck messages, and they've just been such fantastic representatives of our region, really kind to us and to everyone that I've seen them interact with. So please send them your love as they're over there in China. Guys, best of luck from us, and we will see you very soon. And those of you watching, stick around. We'll be back with our play session right after this.